Welcome to the video, guys. We're just gonna get this skid steer attachment hooked up and get this engine pulled out, try to get over and get it power washed off, and then I'm gonna show you something that I found on the engine a little bit later, but stay tuned for that because it's kind of interesting, some of the things we find when we're working on these old engines. What's going on, guys? Just got the engine put away. You can see, at least it's covered up. While I was washing it, I kind of noticed that this rear valve cover was loose. So I did a little investigating and pulled this cover off. Well, come to find out, somebody had removed the rocker arms. This valve cover was loose, and that one was loose. So I asked the guy I got this engine from if he knew anything about that. He just proceeded to tell me that this engine had been pulled from the truck and that's what they had to do to get it out. So I've never had to do that in the 12 valves I've pulled, but just a tip, it's always a really good idea to check every engine that you buy. If you don't pull them yourself and you don't hear them run, to just go through some of the stuff. Like I'm gonna pull this head off and check everything out. I'm gonna replace the oil pan gasket, so that's gonna require pulling the oil pan, gonna go through the trans, things like that. But just a good tip to always remember, we don't know what happened to this engine before we got it, so just trying to keep things from going bad. If I would have started this up, which I considered doing just before I started doing all this work to it, it could have been an expensive failure. You never know what happens when people loosen things and change stuff, so it's just a tip. So I haven't showed you guys the frame since we got it back, but still on the trailer. Haven't done much with that yet, but do have something here. Just in my inspection of this, I noticed we got about 3 inches of offset from the old motor mounts of the Ford. This one's about 3 inches closer to the frame rail than this side, so that means we're gonna have to adjust the motor mount somehow so that we can get this engine centered in the chassis. But that's just something I didn't really expect. I'll show you how these plates I built fit up here, and there we go. Those are gonna mount just like that. We got a little bit of trimming to do, some of these rough edges. This one I did mark that line, but yeah, so I'm assuming that since the 7.3 that was in this frame must have had something, I don't know, I didn't pull it, but yeah, we're gonna have to adjust that engine back this way, which means probably gonna have to raise it up a little bit just to get it centered. Unfortunately, that could lead to other problems, but we'll see what happens. And all I did here was just mark these plates and drilled the holes for that. I don't really think that it's necessary for me to show you a step-by-step of every single thing. I've watched some YouTube videos where guys are showing you every tack weld and every bolt threaded on. I just really didn't see like that was necessary, but that's the way I'm gonna do my videos. You know, I just want you guys to enjoy the process. But yeah, happy with the way these turned out. We'll get them fabbed up here probably in the next video. Hopefully we're setting the engine on and just seeing where everything fits. I do have a trans mount that's gonna go about right here, somewhere across the frame. And then once we get those done, we can start tearing that engine apart. And we'll just have this as kind of an engine stand. And anyway, got back to the house. I'm going to show you what we got in this box. I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but I always enjoyed unboxing videos, so I'm going to give it a try. Let's see what we got. This should be our trans mount. And there it is. It's the trans mount for the Dodge Envy 4500. These should be, yep, those are our engine mounts. Fought this one out so you don't have to watch me struggle. But yeah, these are from Anchor manufacturer, Anchor Industries. So just an OEM replacement. I will let you guys know how they fit the truck, but yeah. I just wanted to share with you a little bit out of God's Word tonight. Last Sunday in church, I was listening to my pastor, and one of the things he read here in Psalm 127 really stuck with me. I just wanted to share that with you. And it says in verse 1, "Except the Lord keep the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchmen wake but in vain. It is vain for you to rise up early and sit up late and eat the bread of sorrows, for so he gives his beloved sleep." You know, that passage is some really basic principles to live by. You know, obviously building our lives, building our homes, our marriages, if you're married, all upon the Lord and letting him direct and build those things. And then it says, unless the Lord keep the house. You know, we can start out really well in our Christian life, but it says, unless the Lord keep the house, the watchmen wake but in vain. The times that we get our eyes off the Lord, when we lose our focus. This last week, the last couple days, have been really busy for me, dealing with some side jobs and my full-time job, but it's been really refreshing to just have some time like today to get a little bit of work done on the engine. Sometimes we get really stressed out with work and different things, but and it also says here in verse 2, "It is vain for you to rise up early and sit up late and eat the bread of sorrows, for so he gives his beloved sleep." You know, sleep is a gift. God gives us the day of rest. You know, we don't honor the Sabbath day as it was in the Old Testament, but we still have the Lord's day. Just think of the times where I've worked 6 days a week and then get to that day of rest that God gives us, you know, and even the passage here tells us it's God who gives us sleep, and it is a gift for us. You know, I think of the times where I've been tired or hungry or frustrated, and those are the times when we're the most vulnerable to Satan and his attacks, when we lose our patience. You know, my temper is very short when I'm tired and hungry and stressed out. You know, that's when Satan is truly seeking to trip us up. You know, we deal with spiritual warfare all the time, but I just encourage you guys, you know, get the sleep that you need and the spiritual rest that you need as well, because, you know, this life is a battlefield. And I was just reading a little obituary about a young man. This bracelet I'm wearing is from his funeral, actually. It says, "Don't waste today." You know, sometimes we get caught up in all of the things that we think we need to do, the list that seems like it never ends. But this young man was 15 years old and he died of cancer. You know, that's just one of those things that we don't understand, but we got to trust God. In those times when tragedies like this happen, sometimes that's just the wake-up call that we need to realize that this life is but a vapor. Don't waste today. You know, don't waste today on selfish living and squandering the time that God gives us. And then in the times when we need to sleep to rebuild ourselves, you know, it's easy to sit up late and scroll through the phone and wake up early and think that we got to get the jump on the day. And there's a time for that. You know, I wake up at 4 o'clock every day to get to work on time and do the things that I do in the mornings. You know, opening God's Word for just a little while to start my day out that way. But, you know, even like building this engine and this truck, it can become something that trips me up if I let it. If I become so focused on everything that I need to do and I spend all my time, all my money, all my effort there, that can become a stumbling block. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoy the video. Try to get one out every week. I'm not making a commitment per se, but that's kind of my goal. Life's uncertain, kids and situations, but, you know, God bless. You guys have a good night.